That's very easy.
Okay. What about others? Manohar, Varsha, Suraj, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, let me continue yesterday's topic. That is like front-end validations. Okay, yesterday I gave some theoretical points, all these things, along with some requirement. So what we'll do is we'll try to create. Okay, so we'll try to create image screen element and text screen element. Image screen element for displaying icon. It can be green color icon or red color icon based on validation is success or not. And I want to use text screen element to display success message or error text based on validation. And for each of these input fields, let me use live change event. And for end date field, that is for date picker, I'll try to use change event. So let me add these things. So here, let me write that. This is like practical part. So here, step one is you can open object view.xml file. And you need to update your simple form code as below. Okay, so here we go to object view.xml file. There is a simple form, and that simple form contains various labels and input fields. Let me start with first name field here. There is a label and there is an input field for first name. I want to apply validation on first name field. So on first name field, let me use. So you can see there is live change event on input fields. So I want to apply separate validation for each of these fields. So let me use, for example, first name validation EH. Similarly, there is last name field. Let me use live change event. Provide event handler. For example, last name, LNAME validation EH. Then there is email ID, input field. I'm trying to use live change event. For that, we are assigning event handler. For example, email ID validation EH. Then there is country field. It's an input field. So let me use live change event. For that, we are assigning event handler. For example, country validation EH. And then there is salary field. It's an input field. We can use live change event. Event handler, that is salary validation EH. And there is mobile number. It's also an input field. I'm using live change event. Let me assign event handler, mobile validation EH. And then there is password field. It's also an input field. Password field is also an input field technically. So you can use live change event. Assign event handler. For example, password validation EH. And there is start date field with a date picker, end date field with a date picker. We can apply validation on end date field. It's a date picker field. So here we have to use change event. On end date picker field, we are using change event. Let us assign event handler, end date validation EH. We can save it. So that means each of these input fields, we have used live change event. On date picker, end date field, we have used change event. We have already assigned event handler for each of these things. Now, beside each input field, let me use image screen element to display a green color icon or red color icon depending upon validation is success or not. So let me use image screen element here. There are different ways of doing it, but let us proceed like this. So here, let me go to first name field. It's an input field. After that input field, I can use an image screen element, image with ID. Provide some ID, for example, image indicator 1, something like that. For image, I want to display small size image, so let us use height and width, for example, 35 pixel. And I want to display this image only on validation. So you can use mode as background. You can use mode as background. When validation is triggered, then only the image indicator will be displayed. So let me use image screen element for all these input fields with a different ID. For email ID input field, I'm using image screen element with a different ID. For country field, salary field, mobile number, password field, so I'm using separate ID for each of these input fields. Separate ID for each of these image screen element beside input fields. So here, after date picker, you need to use it. That is after end date date picker, you can use image screen element, image indicator ID as image indicator 8. So exactly as it is, we are trying to do it here. Image screen element beside each of these input fields. Now let us use text screen element. Why we have to use all these different things? Because we are applying validation on each input field separately. So let us use text screen element beside each of these image fields to display message text. Okay, so let me start from here. From first name field, let me use text screen element with some ID. For example, text 1. Text, you can make it blank. The text we are going to display dynamically through controller. So the text screen element is used here on first name field, last name field, email ID, country, salary, mobile number, password field, and then there is a date picker field. But let me use an ID here. Separate ID for each text screen element. ID is used for each of these text screen elements. Now, not only that, I want to use one more text for displaying the password screen element. Password value I want to disclose. By default here, the password is hidden. The characters are hidden. But I want to create a separate text screen element below this input field so that I can reveal the actual value of that password which is entered by user. The characters are hidden, but I want to reveal the actual value of this password. What is the actual text of this password? I want to reveal that to end user as soon as he types something here. So let me use one more text screen element to reveal that password. So here, let me take one dummy label with blank text. And here I want to use one more text screen element. This is with ID, for example, password text. So the actual text will be displayed dynamically when user enters something. So that text will be displayed dynamically here on this text screen element. This is just to reveal the actual password value on entering the password in input field. What are the actual characters of the password which is user entering? So that text will be displayed here in the form of text screen element text property. This is not mandatory, but just let us add this feature, revealing the password dynamically. Okay, this is what we have done here. And not only that, here we have taken for password field, after this input field, it will display this one more text screen element just below that, somewhere here. When you run the actual app, that is to reveal the password text. Okay, so now not only that, let us implement event handlers. We have to implement event handlers here. So first, let me go to this controller. Step 2. After testing all the validations, I'll copy that code. So now open object controller.js file. Implement event handlers for validations. Implement event handlers for validations. Step 3, you can save all the files on the app. Object view.xml, you have to update your simple form code. In controller, you have to implement event handlers for validations. Validations are also like event handlers here. Okay, to avoid spelling mistakes, what we'll do is we'll try to copy these names. Whatever validations, event handlers we have used, the same thing we'll try to copy here to object controller. In object controller, let me add all the event handlers. This is first name validation EH. Similarly, last name validation EH. Then email ID validation EH. Country validation EH. And then salary validation EH. Mobile number validation EH. And then password validation EH. Event handler names must match between view and controller. And then end date validation EH. So all event handlers are implemented in controller here. As of now, it contains blank implementation. Okay, let me run at this level. Okay, the screen is loaded without any problem. Now first, let me apply validation on first name field here. According to our requirement on first name field, first name length must be greater than 5 characters and less than 12 characters. It's just a length related validation on first name field value. We have to check whether the first name length is greater than 5 characters and less than 12 characters or not. If it is not available according to this, we have to display some error message. If it is according to this, then you should display success message. So here, first what you need to do is in first name validation EH, you need to capture the value. Capture first name value from input field. So you are already aware of this. This dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of that input field, and you can call get value if it is an input field. Get value is a method, and you will get first name value here. So what's the ID of first name input field? So let me copy that ID. Fname is ID of input field. So this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of that first name input field. It's an input field, so you can use get value method. You'll get first name value. Now you can put a simple condition here. You can apply condition like if first name value dot, you can use length. On any string you can use length. First name value is technically string. You'll get the string as a first name. So on that string, you can use length as a keyword. It's a JavaScript keyword. First name value dot length, and you can use greater than 5. And is nothing but technically double ampersand. Double ampersand is considered as and. You can use first name value dot length less than 12 characters. If block, and you can use else block. So that's how you can use it. First name value dot length greater than 5, double ampersand. That means and first name value dot length less than 12. So you can use length as a keyword on any given string. You can use greater than, less than, comparison operators, greater than, less than, these things you can use it. Logical operators, you can use double ampersand for and. So here we are not only learning validations, we are trying to understand how to use logical operators, comparison operators, various keywords. We are trying to learn those things in this process. So what I want to do is, if the condition is true, I want to display green color image, and I want to display text. For this particular field, the condition is true, I want to display green color image, and I want to display some success text. False, I want to display red color image, and I want to display error text, something like this. Instead of using images and text, we can also use a different concept that I'll explain at the end of this entire session. So if the condition is true, I want to display green color image and success text. If the condition is false, I want to display red color image and error text. I want to follow the same technique for all the other validations as well. So here what you can do is this dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of image field here. Image indicator 1 is the ID of image field. They are getting the reference of image field. On that image field, image contains SRC property. Image contains SRC property. So you can use get SRC, set SRC. You can use getter method or setter method. In this case, you have to use setter method, that is set SRC. And why don't you assign green color image here? With slash, you can use green color .zip file. This was used in table. The same thing I can refer here. These images are already imported in our project. You can access here as well. Now I can use this dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of text string element here. ID of text string element is text1. So why don't you use that text1? Text string element contains text property. You can use get text, set text methods. In this example, I want to use set text. Text string element contains text property. Each property contains two methods, getter method and setter method. In this case, I'm using setter method, set text. So I want to display some text. For example, first name is valid. For example, first name is valid. Now, if the condition is false, the same screen elements, but it should display red color image and it should display error text. First name is not valid, something like that. In else block, we are displaying red color.gif file and first name is not valid. So let us check this. Let me just check that field. So here you can see there is first name field. Now let me enter some value here. For example, if I use just only 3 characters here, it is displaying red color icon and error text here. First name is not valid. If I just display 4 characters, still it is displaying red color icon and first name is not valid, because that is how we have designed our validation. And if I use, for example, this one, so now you are getting green color image and green success text here. You're getting green color image along with success text because the length validation is working fine. It is greater than 5 characters, less than 12 characters. So then it is becoming valid. If I type something like Ajay Kumar, something like this, then it is becoming valid because we are putting a length restriction here. If I just type something like this, then it is invalid. If I type more than 12 characters, then it is invalid because it is more than 12 characters in this case. So you're getting red color text, red color image and error text here. If I type just up to Ajay Kumar, it is between 5 and 12 characters, so it is becoming valid here. So as soon as you type something, the event handler is getting executed because of live change event. It is executing because of live change event. You can see that. If I just type only 1 character, then it is invalid. 2 characters is invalid. 5 characters is also invalid. It should be more than 5 and less than 12. So if I type like this, then it is becoming valid. On first name field, just we are putting a length restriction. That's it. So if it is between 5 and 12, then it is showing success icon with success text here. Now let me go to the next validation on that is on last name field. So last name can allow uppercase characters A to Z. It can allow lowercase characters A to Z. It should not allow special characters and it should not allow digits. On last name field, I don't want to allow special characters. I don't want to allow digits, but it can allow uppercase A to Z, lowercase A to Z. So in this type of situation, we can use a regular expression. So let me try this here. Last name validation EH, first capture the value. This dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of last name field. That's last name input field contains some ID. So provide that ID. It's an input field, so you can use get value. First capture the value, then apply validation. So you are going to get last name value here. This dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of last name input field. On input field, you can call get value. In this case, you'll get last name value. Now, after capturing the value, now you can construct a regular expression here. You can construct a regular expression. So to construct regular expression, you can use var keyword, some variable, regular expression, something like this, equal to. Provide your regular expression. slash up arrow. That's a begin of regular expression. Dollar slash, that's the end of regular expression. Slash up arrow, begin of regular expression, dollar slash semicolon, that's the end of regular expression. In between this, you can provide the actual regular expression here. For example, I can use square brackets. Within square brackets, I want to use A to Z uppercase because I want to allow uppercase A to Z. I want to allow lowercase a to Z. So you can use lowercase a to Z. How many characters you want to allow? It can be a quantifier. Quantifier, I can use plus operator. I think according to yesterday's session, plus operator is one or many. You can use plus operator, that is like, I think one or many. So you can use quantifier here. So A to Z uppercase is allowed, lowercase a to Z is allowed, and we are using quantifier plus. Quantifier plus is for indicating how many characters you want to allow. Uppercase, how many characters you want to allow lowercase. So that we are using plus operator here. That's a quantifier. You want 0 or 1, 1 or many, or 0 or many. So that is a quantifier. If I use something like question mark, if I use question mark as a quantifier, it is 0 or 1. If I use star here, I think it's 0 or many. Star is for 0 or many. Plus is for 1 or many. Question mark is for 0 or 1. So yesterday I gave quantifier, so you can use that here. I'm using just plus as a quantifier. So that's how you can construct regular expression. After constructing regular expression, you can use your if block here and else block. Now within if block, you can use match method. This last name value, you need to compare with regular expression now. This last name value, whatever is captured, you have to compare with the regular expression which is constructed here. So that's the reason why you can use last name value dot, you have to use match method if you want to compare with regular expression. Match is a standard JavaScript method. You can use it to compare with a given regular expression which is constructed. So you use match method and pass regular expression here. Last name value dot match method. For that, pass regular expression, whatever you have constructed. So if the match is found, then success. If the match is not found, it returns false, error. If the match is found, the condition is true. If the match is not found, the condition is false. So I can use the same type of messages here with image and text screen element. Image indicator to text to screen element. Green color dot zip file. Here I want to display last name is valid. And here else block. I want to display color dot zip file and last name is not valid. So if the match is found, it executes if block. If the match is not found, it executes else block. Match is found, that means the condition is true. It executes if block. Match is not found, it returns false. It executes else block. So when you want to compare any given value with a regular expression, to compare any given value with regular expression, you have to use match method and pass regular expression. So let me save and run this. So let me go to last name field here. On last name field, let me use something like, for example, I use K uppercase Kumar, it is valid. Uppercase characters are allowed, lowercase characters are allowed. But if I use percentage here, for example, that's a special character. Special character is not allowed. So it is displaying red color icon and last name is not valid. If I use 1, 2, 3 here, digits are not allowed. So it is displaying red color icon and last name is not valid. If I just type Kumar, then it's valid. If I type something like, then it's valid. If I use 1, 2, 3, it's not valid. If I use special characters, it is not valid. You can see the icon is changing, the text is also changing. If I use, for example, Sharma here, this is uppercase, it's allowed. The rest of the characters are smaller case, it is allowed. But if I use something like special characters, then it is invalid. If I use digits, it's invalid. So live change event is triggering each time whenever you type a character here, and it is applying a validation dynamically. So now you can see that each field has a separate validation with its separate icon and a separate text. You can see that. Now let me go with email ID validation here. So this is working fine. Last name is not allowing special characters and it is not allowing digits. It is just allowing only uppercase A to Z, lowercase a to Z. And it can be one or many. That's the reason why we have used quantifier plus operator. Now let me go with email ID validation. It's a simple validation. We have to check whether email ID contains @ character or not. We have to check whether email ID contains dot character or not. And we should make sure that @ comes first, dot comes last. @ should come first, dot should come at the last. That means at the end. So here, there is email ID validation. First capture the value. This dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of email ID field. In input field, you can use get value method. So where you'll get email ID value here. Provide the ID of that field. Email ID is ID. Provide that ID, you'll get email ID value. Now here, you can use regular expression or you can use a normal if-else condition. For that reason, first, you need to check whether @ is available or not. So you can use email ID value dot. You can use one method, index of. Index of, you can use that @. And you can use email ID value dot last index of. Last index of. Dot. So index of is a JavaScript method. Last index of is also a JavaScript method. We are just trying to capture the position. Index of @ we are trying to capture the position of @. Last index of dot, from the ending point, we are trying to capture the position of dot character. So here you will get @ position here. Here we are not using regular expression. So here we are capturing dot character position also. We are capturing @ position from the beginning and we are capturing dot position from the end. So index of @ last index of dot character. Now you can use these positions inside your if-else block. So if something like here I can use at position less than 1, or you can use or is applied with two straight lines. Two straight lines is technically or. So let me use or with two straight lines here. And dot position less than at the rate position plus 2. And then or I can use dot position plus 2 greater than equal to something like email ID value dot length. Email ID value dot length. I can use this type of condition here. We are not using regular expression, so we are not using match method. Match method is applicable for regular expressions. We are using a normal validation here. At the rate position less than 1 or dot position less than at the rate position plus 2 or dot position plus 2 greater than or equal to email ID value dot length. Now, if this is true, then I want to display error message here. If the condition is true, in this case, I want to display error message. The condition is false, I want to display success message in this case. So here, image indicator 3, red color, text 3, email ID is not valid. In else block, we are displaying success message, success, green color image. Okay, let me run this. So here, let me go to email ID. So if I type something like just Vijay in email ID, if I just type just Vijay, then it is invalid because there is no @ available, there is no dot character. If I type Vijay at, then @ is available but dot is missing. Still, it is invalid format. Email ID is still invalid because dot is missing. If I use ca.com, something like that, then it is becoming valid. So it is in a proper email ID format. So it is displaying green color icon and email ID is valid. That's the text it is displaying. If I remove @, so it is invalid. If I remove dot, it is still invalid. If I just add @ here, dot here, it is invalid. @ is available, dot is available, but it's not in a proper format. @ should come first, dot should come next. So that's the reason why it is still invalid. So if I use @ here, dot here, then it becomes valid. So now it is in a proper format according to email format. If I use something like ajay@gmail.com, so then it becomes valid. If I remove this, you can see ajay@.com, then it is invalid. Ajay@.com, still it is invalid. @ is available, dot is available, but it's still invalid. You can see red color icon and error text. Email ID is not valid. If I type something like ca.com or gmail.com, something like this, then it becomes valid. We have captured the position of @, we have captured the position of dot, and we are comparing the length, and we are checking whether @ is coming first or not. All those things we are trying to do in if block. If I use, for example, this one. So it is valid because there is no restriction on whether digits are allowed or not. According to our validation, there is no restriction on digits. So it is valid. If I use like this, Ajay, something like $123 at ca.com. So it's valid. There is no restriction on special characters for email ID in our validation. So it is still valid according to our condition. Okay, so here you can see it is more dynamic now on the fields. So that's how you can continue. Okay, let me go for country field. We'll try to apply simple validation. I just want to allow two type of countries here, US as well as India, for example. Other than India, US, I want to display error message. Okay, let me try that. Country validation EH. First capture the value, country value from input field. This dot get view. Dot by ID, provide the ID of input field. Input field, you can use get value method. In this case, you'll get country value. Provide the ID of that country field. Now here on country field, I just want to allow only two countries. I just want to check whether India is available or US is available. So for that reason, you can use just a simple if else. There is no need of regular expression here also. So country value, that's a variable. Country value triple equal to, you can use India. And you can use or. Or is two state lines. Country value is triple equal to US. Then only I want to make it valid. So you can use triple equal. That is a comparison operator. It will check for equal value and equal data type. So country value triple equal India or country value triple equal to US. So this triple equal is a comparison operator from JavaScript. Two state lines is a logical operator for or from JavaScript. So you can use it wherever, whenever required. In event handlers, in formatter functions, also you can use it. Not only in event handlers, in controllers, you can use these type of things even in formatter functions if required. Okay, so here, let me use this. So this is like image indicator 4, text 4, green color.zip file, and here I want to make country is valid. So here let me use red color.zip file and country is not valid. We're trying to do it on image indicator 4 and text 4 screen element. You can save and run this. So here, if I use country, for example, UK, then it is invalid. Country UK is invalid. You can see red color icon and country is not valid. That's a text. If I use, for example, China, according to our validation, it is invalid. If I use Nepal, it's invalid. So if I use, for example, US, then it's valid. We're getting green color text with green color icon. There is some valid text and green colored icon. If I use India, then it is valid. So it is allowing India or US, only two values, not other than these two values. So it's working fine. There is no problem. Now let me go to salary field here. On salary field, I want to allow numbers. If the salary value is number, then it is valid. If it is not a number, it is invalid. It should not allow special characters and all those things. It should not allow special characters. It should not allow uppercase A to Z, lowercase A to Z. All those things are not valid. We should check whether salary value is number or not. That's the next validation. If it is a number, that's success. If it is not a number, it's an error. So let us try that. So this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of that field and call get value method. So you can use salary value here. That means you can get salary value from this input field. After capturing salary value, you need to check whether that salary value is a number or not. According to JavaScript, there is one method, isNaN. IsNaN is a standard method to check whether the value is number or not. If it is not a number, it returns true and it is invalid. If it is a number, it returns false, then you can display success message. So that's how it works in a reverse order. So if isNaN is not a number, is not a number for what? Salary value. If it is not a number, then display error text here, red color icon. Else display success text and green color icon, something like that. So isNaN is a standard JavaScript method. Is not a number. Is not a number for salary value. Then display error text with red color icon. If it is a number, else block is executed. If it is not a number, if block is executed. If it is a number, else block will be executed. So here, so image indicator 5, text 5. So is not a number, then red color .zip file and salary is not valid. If it is a number, else block will be executed. So green color .zip file and I can make salaries valid. So the main point here is we are using isNaN, that is a number, is not a number. NaN means not a number. That's a standard method. You can pass salary value here to compare that value with isNaN method. Very simple. Okay, let me run this. So let me check salary here. For example, if I type special characters, it's not a number, so it's invalid. You're getting red color icon and salary is not valid. If I use special characters here, if I use uppercase A to Z or lowercase a to Z, it's not valid because it's not a number. So red color icon, salary is not valid. If I type digits, now, for example, 80,000, 500, something like that, then it's valid. But type something like 45,200, it's valid because it's a number. So you're getting green color icon and success text here. So it's working fine. So it's not allowing special characters. It's not allowing uppercase characters. It's not allowing lowercase characters. It's just allowing only digits, and that too it is checking whether it is number or not. It's allowing digits and it is checking whether it is number or not. So it's valid now according to this value. Sal is valid, so we are getting green color message, green color text with an icon. Okay, so now let me go with mobile number. Here we'll try to apply a regular expression here. Mobile numbers must allow only digits and the total number of digits must be 10. Mobile number must allow only digits and it should allow fix it only 10 digits. More than 10 digits or less than 10 digits, mobile number is invalid according to our requirement. So here, mobile number, this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of mobile number input field. In input field, you can use get value method. So you'll get mobile number value. Now, mobile number value, we are able to get that value. We are trying to hold it in a variable. Now, I want to use regular expression. So here you need to construct a regular expression. These regular expressions, you can get it from anywhere from Google search also. Mobile number validation, regular expression, search like that. Email ID validation, regular expression. You can get it, you'll get several links. So that you can use it here. You can construct a regular expression as per your validation. So in our case, let me construct a regular expression. To construct regular expression, slash up arrow, that's start of regular expression, then dollar slash is the end of regular expression, and semicolon is the end of the statement. So this is begin of regular expression, this is the end of regular expression. Semicolon is the end of the statement. Now I want to allow only digits. I want to allow only digits here. I think you have to use \d. That will check for digits. I think this is \d. D should be lowercase, so it will check for digits here. And I want to allow 10 digits, so you can use quantifier. I want to allow fixed 10 digits. I can use quantifier here. For example, flower brackets, within flower brackets, I can use 10. That's a quantifier. So that's it. So this becomes a regular expression. It will search for digits and the total number of digits are 10 or not. It will find for digits. The digits are fine and it will check for the total number of digits whether they're 10 or not. So here you can use if block. If block and use else block. So in if block, you can use mobile number value dot. Now you need to compare with regular expression. So you have to use match method here. Match of that so and so regular expression, whatever you have constructed here. Mobile number value will be matched with regular expression and it will check whether it contains digits or not. It will check whether it contains 10 digits or not. So if the match is found, it returns true. If the match is not found, it returns false. If the match is found, it returns true. If the match is not found, it returns false. That's a behavior of match method. It's a JavaScript method. Okay, so here, so let me use image indicator 6, text screen element 6, green color.zip file, and here I want to display mobile number is valid. in else block, red color .zip file, mobile number is not valid. Let me save and run this. So here you can see there is mobile number. If I type something like special characters, it is invalid. If I type uppercase A to Z, it is invalid. If I type lowercase a to z, it is invalid. If I type digits, it's valid, but the total digits also must be 10. Otherwise, it becomes invalid. So I'm typing my mobile number here. It contains now only 9 digits, so still it is invalid. It contains digits, but total digits are 9, so it is invalid. If I type one more digit, it becomes 10 digits, so then it becomes valid here. Green color icon and mobile number is valid. That's the text we are displaying. If it is having more than 10, if I type 11th digit, for example, if I type one more digit here, then it becomes invalid. You can see that. Up to 10 digits are valid, and it allows only digits. Let me repeat here. So special characters are not allowed. You can see uppercase letters are not allowed. Lowercase letters are not allowed. It is allowing only digits. And the total number of digits must be 10 here. You can see this. If I type 8 digits, it's invalid. If I type 10 digits, then it becomes valid. If I type 12 digits, it's invalid. It's working according to our expectation. So here we are using a simple regular expression, /d. I think this \d, then quantifier. In flower brackets, you're mentioning the quantifier as 10. If I use star here, it will check 0 or many digits. If I use plus operator, it will check for 1 or many digits. If I use question mark, it will check for 0 or 1 digit. But if I use a specific quantifier, then you have to use flower brackets, and you can provide a specific quantifier, for example, 5 or 10 or whatever. So that you can mention here. So please remember, you can use star. So that means it will search for 0 or many digits, plus 1 or many digits, question mark 0 or 1 digit. But my requirement is to check whether it contains exactly 10 digits or not. Then you can use flower brackets, provide the quantifier as 10. Simple. Okay, so let me go to the next validation. Here you'll get more and more clarity. Okay, so password field. Password field must contain at least 1 digit, at least 1 uppercase character A to Z, at least 1 lowercase character A to Z, at least 1 special character among these characters. And the length also must be between 6 and 12. Length must be 6 and 12. It should allow these things: 1 digit at least, 1 uppercase at least, 1 lowercase at least, 1 special character at least, and the overall total characters must be between 6 and 12. So in this case, you can apply a regular expression. So how to do this? First, capture that. Capture password value from input field. This dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of input field. That is password field. Dot get value. So you'll get password value here. You're getting password value into a variable. Now here we can construct a regular expression. can construct regular expression. You can check for digits, you can check for uppercase, you can check for lowercase, you can check for length. All those things you can do it through a regular expression. So how to construct regular expression? You can use var and you can provide regular expression. You can use any variable. To make it simple, regular expression. Now, begin of regular expression slash up arrow. That's the begin of regular expression. End of regular expression, dollar slash, that's the end of regular expression. Semicolon is the end of the statement. Now here in between this begin of regular expression, end of regular expression, you need to provide the actual regular expression here in between that. Slash up arrow, dollar slash. In between these things, you have to provide regular expression. So how to do that? You need to provide at least one digit. You should allow at least one digit. So at least is indicated by using brackets. Within brackets, you can use question mark, equal, dot. That's how you can use. And you can use star. That means now you can use slash D. That means at least one digit. That is how it will check for. This is a syntax. You can use at least and you can provide slash D here. Question mark equal dot star, that indicates at least one, and then you can use slash D. It will check for at least one digit now. Similarly, again you can use brackets here. Brackets, within brackets you can use again question mark equal dot star. That means at least one uppercase. Then you can use A to Z here, uppercase. It will check for at least one uppercase character. It will check for at least one uppercase character here. And similarly, again, I want to check for at least one lowercase character. So you can use brackets, normal brackets, use question mark equal dot star. That is at least, I want to check for lowercase character. So you can use square brackets, A to Z. Yesterday I gave some syntaxes. You can just cross check with that. Yesterday's theoretical points you can compare here. Now, this is at least one lowercase character. That is how it will check for. In this case, it will check for at least one lowercase character. Now, I want to check for at least one special character. At least is brackets. Brackets, question mark, equal dot star. That is indicated for at least. Then I want to check for special characters. Use square brackets here. Which type of special characters are allowed? I want to allow at exclamation mark, at the rate, hashtag, dollar, percentage, something like this. Ampersand, percentage, etc. I want to allow even star also. The special character can be exclamation mark, at the rate, hashtag, dollar, percentage, ampersand, or star. It can be any of these special characters, but at least one special character must be included in password. So it will check for at least one digit, at least one uppercase character, at least one lowercase character, at least one special character among these characters. And not only that, the total length must be between 6 and 12. So here the quantifier has to be used. The total length must be between 6 and 12. The quantifier has to be used here. So to indicate a quantifier with range, it's a range quantifier has to be used here. So you can use dot, and use flower brackets for indicating quantifier. Within flower brackets, you can use, if I use 6, it will just allow up to 6 characters. If I use 12, it will allow up to 12 characters. If I use, for example, 6, 12, that means it is taken as a range. 6, 12 will be taken as a range. That means it should be between 6 and 12. If I use only 6, it will allow up to 6 characters here. If I use 12, it will allow 12 characters only. But if you want to use a range, something like 6 and 12, then you can use 6, 12 here. That's a quantifier. So that's how you can construct a regular expression. Now, at least one digit, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, at least one special character, and total length between 6 and 12. So that's the overall regular expression you can apply for password field. Now I need to check the match method. So you can use if password value dot, you can use match method, and you can pass this password field regular expression here. If the match is found, it returns true. If the match is not found, it returns false. If the match is found, it executes if block. If the match is not found, it executes else block. So here, we use indicator, image indicator 7, text 7. I want to display green color, and here I want to display password is valid. You can use some other text. This is red color .gif, password is not valid. Okay, now not only that, I want to display the original password text by using this text screen element. What is the original password the user is typing? I want to disclose that. I want to open up. I want to reveal that password value by using this text screen element. So you can add one more line here. This dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of the text screen element for revealing the password text. And it's a text screen element, so you can use set text method. And why don't you pass this password value? Whatever is captured from input field, password value, that we are passing here. Whichever password value is captured from password type input field, that we are passing to the text screen element text property by using set text method. So you can save and run this now. I can observe the difference in the output. So let us focus on password field here. If I use, for example, just I, invalid. Uppercase I, it's still invalid because lowercase characters are not available, digits are not available, length is not matching, so it is invalid. If I type India, I is uppercase, NDIA is lowercase, but digits are missing. Length is not proper, I think. Special character is not available, so it's still invalid. If I use India @ special character is available, but digits are not available, so it's still invalid. If I use 2019, so digits are available, length is also matching. Uppercase is available, lowercase is available. So now it is valid. I is uppercase and remaining characters are lowercase. There is a special case character and there is a digit also. And the total length is also between 6 and 12. So that's the reason why password is valid now. And we're getting green color text, green color icon. If I type something like this one, it's invalid because there is no uppercase character here. All the characters are lowercase, special character is available, digit is available, but uppercase character is missing. So let me use uppercase W as uppercase here. Then it is valid. So it is checking for at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, at least one special character, and at least one digit. So it's following that rule now, so it's valid. Now, not only that, we are displaying the text dynamically here. We are revealing what is the password, the original text we are displaying here through text screen element. You can see that. Now, if I type something like, for example, just only digits, it's invalid. Only uppercase characters, it's invalid. Only lowercase characters, it is invalid. If I use only special characters, it is invalid. It will check for at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, at least one special character, at least one digit, and total length must be 6 and 12. So then only it becomes valid. So in this case, this is a valid password now. It contains one uppercase, more than one lowercase, one special character, and one digit. So it is valid according to our expectation. So just by using a single line regular expression, we are able to get this. Okay, similarly, let me go for end date field, but I don't know whether it works in Google Chrome. Let me check it in Firefox. Date field, sometimes it may not work in Google Chrome. This is working or not. Password field. It's okay. It's working fine here as well, even in Google Chrome. Now let me go with something like start date, end date fields. So the end date must be greater than start date. Next validation, that is end date must be greater than start date. Otherwise, it should throw error message with green color icon. So it's very simple. You can capture that. This is this dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of date picker. This is date picker 1 dot get value. So here you will get start date value. Similarly, this dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of end date date picker. Date picker 2 is the ID of end date date picker. In this case, date picker also contains value property. You can use get value method to capture date value. In this case, date end date value you are going to get. So we are capturing start date value, end date value by using a normal technique by providing ID of each date picker screen element here. Now, when you want to compare the dates, you have to use parse method. You can use if block. Here you need not use regular expression. You can simply use if block. In if block, you can use date dot. Date is a predefined object. Date dot parse of end date value greater than date dot parse of start date. So you can't directly use end date value greater than like this. End date value greater than start date value. You can't directly compare dates like this. I think it will not work. If it's working, it's okay, but I think it will not work. If you want to compare dates, then you have to use a different syntax. Date object, it's a predefined object. Dot parse method of, you have to pass your end date value greater than date dot parse method of, you have to pass start date value. So end date value greater than start date, then it is success. So here you can display green color, valid text. Image indicator 8, text 8, green color, and here I want to display end date is valid. End date is not valid. Let me run it again. So here, first let me provide start date. For example, 21st March, that's the start date. And end date, if I use 6th March, okay, it's displaying green color. Okay, let me change the text here. Okay, I think the code is written here. Okay, this dot get view, I think there's a problem by opening two browsers. So, okay, let me write once again. So this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of first date picker, and you can call get value method. So here you'll get start date value. Here you can get end date value. Provide the ID of each field. Date picker. That's the ID of start date field. Date picker 2 is the ID of end date field. So you're getting start date value, end date value. Then you have to check here if date dot parts of end date parts of end date value greater than date dot parts of start date value. So let me display messages along with icons. Image indicator 8, text 8, green color, and here let me provide end date is valid. This is like red color, end date is not valid. Try now. Let me run it. Let me go to that screen. Edit the field. So now let me select start date here. For example, 16th March and end date is 5th March. So it is invalid. End date is less than start date, so it is invalid. So it is working now. If I use end date once again with 1st March, so it is still less than start date. End date is less than start date, so it is invalid. If I use, for example, end date as March 23, then it is valid. So you're getting green color icon with end date is valid as a message. March 16th is start date, March 23 is end date. So that is valid now. End date is greater than start date. But if I change this, for example, 29th March as start date and 13th March as end date, it is invalid. On end date, we are using change event. On change event, it is triggering event handler. After changing the end date, then only the event handler gets triggered here. Now, if I use March 31st, then it is valid now. March 29 and March 31. March 31 is greater than March 29, so it is valid. End date is greater than start date, so it's valid. If I make it like, for example, November 14th, so it is valid. March 29, 2023 is less than November 14, 2023. So that means again, end date is greater than start date, so it is valid. If I use end date, for example, January 31st, 2023, it is invalid. End date is less than start date now. End date is less than start date. Same year, but Jan 31, that is less than March 29. End date is less than start date. If I use, for example, April 10th, so that is valid. April 10 is greater than March 29, so it is valid. So that's how you can work out with validation. You can try other validations as well if required. So here, let me just take the screenshot. So you can apply different validations, and on each field you can have this type of impact. You can see this. So here, don't forget, as soon as you type something, the original text is also displayed here. We are revealing the password here. So that impact is also added along with images and text. So here, this is like, okay, so what I can do is I can copy these lines now. So first, object view.xml file, you have to update your simple form code. So simple form code, you have to update from here for these fields. From first name up to date picker 2. These fields you have to update in your simple form. Whatever changes I've adopted, those things are pasted here. From first name field to date picker, end date, date picker. These are the lines you have to adjust. Image screen elements are added, text screen elements are added, and events are assigned with event handler. So that changes are impacted here. Now step two is go to object controller, just implement each and every event handler and check for validation. So this one, let me copy all these lines from here. First name validation EH. So all the event handlers for each and every input field, the validations are assigned with event handlers. Now, step 3, save all the files, run the app. But here, let me give one basic idea before I stop. Okay, you can see this one. Let me just take the screenshot here. This is one of the regular expression we have used. So in this case, if you closely observe this, this is the begin of regular expression and is the end of regular expression. Along with semicolon, semicolon is the end of the line. So this is like begin of regular expression is the end of regular expression. This is the end of regular expression. And not only that, this is technically representing at least one digit here. This is representing at least one uppercase between A to Z. This is representing at least one lowercase between A to Z. And this is representing at least one special character among these things, among these characters. And this is representing the quantifier, total characters between 6 and 12. This is a quantifier that is between 6 and 12. Okay, let me mention those things. This is like at least one digit. This is representing at least one uppercase. And this is representing at least one lowercase. And this is representing at least one digit, at least one special character. At least one special character. And this is the quantifier. Between 6 and 12, that's a quantifier. That's a range like length. Okay, so that's how we have constructed a regular expression on password field. So begin of regular expression, end of regular expression. This is at least one digit, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, at least one special character among these things. And the quantifier is between 6 and 12. That's for length. Now we have used one more regular expression, that is like simple one. This is for digits and total number of digits as 10. Technically, this is begin of regular expression. Let me just highlight that. This is a begin of regular expression. This is an end of regular expression. And here we are using /d, that is allows digits. Check for a digit. And the total number of digits, that is a quantifier again. Here we are using a specific quantifier as 10. Fixed quantifier as 10. Finds a digit and the total number of digits are 10 here in this case. Fixed quantifier in this case. This is mobile number regular expression. And then we have used this as one more regular expression. On last name we have used so again, this is the begin of regular expression. This is the end of regular expression. And here it allows uppercase A to Z and lowercase a to Z. This is like begin of regular expression. To make you understand the syntaxes, I'm writing again. And here we are trying to use, it finds for at least, it finds for uppercase A to Z, it finds for lowercase a to Z, then only it becomes valid. And here we are using plus. Plus is a quantifier here, technically. Plus is a quantifier. I think that is technically, according to yesterday's session, that is one or many. Quantifier plus, or I think one or many. This is last name regular expression. And here we have used something like NaN. That's a normal method we have used. So this is NaN, that is a method. Technically, it is going to check whether it is a number or not. It is not a number. Is not a number. is NaN, that is not a number. Is NaN technically is a method. This is a full form, is not a number. It's technically a method. If it is not a number, then that method returns. If it is not a number, then it returns true. If it is a number, then that method returns false. That's how it works. Be careful. Just read this statement properly. When you find free time, there is some slight confusion, but just read this statement. If it is not a number, then only it returns true. If it is a number, then it returns false in this case, because the method name is not a number. Just to avoid confusion, I've written this statement here. So that means if it is not a number, it returns true. That means if block is executed. Here, if block is executed according to our code, here else block is executed. If block is executed here, else block is executed here. Is not a number. Method description. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll stop here. I think I've written all these lines. Okay. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me here in yesterday's session or today's session. Any doubts? Hello students, can you hear me? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I have one doubt.
Yeah, what's the doubt?
Yeah, for each and every screen element, we are writing individual event handler. So within one event handler, can we validate all the screen element?
You can validate, but you have to use a common event handler, but you have to handle all the conditions by using AND. You capture all the values, you apply final block you can use if, and then in that you can handle all the conditions by using AND. Yes, that is possible. But here in this today's scenario, what we're trying to do, we're trying to use live change event. Live change event is basically for each and every input field. Live change event, you can't use it for all the fields at once. Live change event is used only on individual screen elements. This is more dynamic. It's applicable. Live change event is applicable for individual screen elements. So what you can do is, if you want, and it's dynamic also, compared with other things, it's dynamic. Now what you can do is, for example, here, forget about this form. Let me go to table, for example. Here, if I provide, for example, country India, salary greater than, for example, 60,000. Okay. If I click on go to third view, I want to put a restriction. Then definitely you can handle these two validations inside this go to third view EH event handler. If you want to apply multiple validation, for example, I want to check whether country is valid or not, whether salary is valid or not. Both you can check in this event handler, go to third view EH. If both are valid, then you can navigate to third view. If both are not valid, then you can stay back in the same screen. So that's how you can apply. Yes. Just if you want to go with a common validation, for example, you can try this. So check for salary and check for country, for example. If salary is valid, just I'm writing the description here, and country is valid, then I want to navigate to third screen. Otherwise, I want to restrict and I want to display error message. So those type of things are possible. If salary is valid and country is valid, then I want to navigate to third screen. So we have used one statement, this dot get owner component dot get router information dot navigate to. So here we're trying to navigate to third screen, for example, third view as a target. So in this case, what happens? We are checking the validation on both the fields. We are using if block. If both are valid, then we are navigating to third view in this case. If one of the value is not valid, then you can display error message like sap.m.message box. That's a common message you can use. Message box dot, you can use error method. And in error method, you can provide a common message like salary and, for example, salary and country is not valid. So it is restricting that. So you can, yes, you can have multiple validations in one single event handler. And just as an example, I've written for one of this scenario here. But in this case, you cannot use live change event. You have to use a button. In that button action, you can trigger all the validations. In that, you can check both the conditions. Then based on that, you can navigate or you can display message. Yeah, next down. Got some idea now?
Yes, sir. In Fiori, is there any double click or single click event? Is there?
Double click? No, I don't think so. These are the only events. Like for in case of button, you will have only one thing like press event.
Press event.
For input field, you will be having live change event as well as change event. For date picker, there is change event. Similarly, if you use table, for table, there are different types of events. One of the event is row change, row selection change event. Even for list, there will be row selection change event. What you do is you can just use control space in your coding. Use screen element name in your code while writing the code. Then use control space. Then you'll get list of events, whatever is applicable for that screen element. Just to get list of event names applicable for that screen element. Provide screen element class name, control space, you can get list of event names. So those events are applicable. Whichever events are visible in while writing the code, only those events can be used. I don't think there is any event with a double click. Next down.
Okay, one more question. Actually, that create a deep entity set header and item, we need to debug it line by line. That is still pending, I think.
That we'll discuss. Don't worry. We'll discuss after after some more topics. We'll discuss that. Yeah. Next down.
Hi Vijay, Satish here. If you wanted to validate with the backend data, then how it will be?
Then send the value to the backend in DPC extension class methods. You have to do it. DPC extension class methods of OData service. There you have to do it. Those are backend database level validations. That is like normal ABAP. Send the value from front-end to backend and then handle that backend level validation in DPC extension class methods.
Okay, so will we use the same event, right? At the time also live change, and we need
You
to.
can use, yes, you can use event. Event can be used for front-end, event can be used for backend. It doesn't matter. But what type of functionality you are writing in that event handler, that makes an important thing here.
Okay.
So, for example, we have used email ID. Email ID, that's an input field, for example. Or let me make it like a password. Not only checking the format, I want to check whether that password is valid according to backend or not. So you have to, of course, you can use live change event here. In that, you have to assign event handler. For example, we have used password EH, password validation EH. So inside this event handler, you can write any front-end validation directly for checking the format. Plus, if you want, you can pass value to backend, and in backend OData, you can check that. If your backend is success, then password is success. If the backend validation is wrong, then you can display wrong password. So something like that. So you can pass value to backend, and in backend DPC extension class methods, you have to handle that functionality. The point here is live change can be used for only front-end validation, only backend validation, or you can have a combination. It doesn't matter, but event remains same if it is in case of a field level validation. So that means event can be used only for front end or only for backend, or you can use a combination. But the event name remains same. The way and the type of code what you write, that it all depends on that. So here the point is, in case of password validation, if you want to handle that in the backend, just pass that password value to the backend OData service. In the DPC extension class methods, you can write it. Same like your normal ABAP. You can capture that value from front end to back end. In the back end DPC extension class method, there will be like get entity set, those type of methods, right? So in get entity method, you can write a select query. You can check the value is available in the database or not. If the value is available, then you can send a success message to the front end. So the point here is, according to your question, the events remain same. Those events can handle only front-end validation, only back-end validation, or you can have a combination. It doesn't matter. It all depends on how you write the code in event handler.
That means we need to call this DPC extension entity, and then we need to pass.
You have to use OData. You have to use OData model class methods. You have to use OData model class methods. So here you can use bind element. There are different methods. For validations, I think you can use bind element, or you can use like read method. These methods you have to use. So in case of, for example, if you are using bind element, you can pass the front-end value to backend. In one of the scenario, we'll try to do that. So front-end value, you can pass it to backend. In the backend, bind element is going to execute get entity method. In get entity method, you can apply. You can use a normal ABAP code in get entity method in DPC extension class. So while calling bind element will internally trigger get entity method of backend service in DPC extension class. In that, you can use your normal ABAP code for backend validation. Or you can also use a read method. That's also alternative. Read method also, I think it can trigger this method, but slightly syntax will change. So the point here is, when you want to interact with backend, when you want to pass value to the backend, ultimately OData model comes into picture. Don't forget that.
Yes. Okay. So can you explain any one scenarios like this, like
In
you
one of the
said?
scenario, we are going to use bind element. In one scenario, we'll use read method also. We'll try to use read method in one example, bind element in another example. We'll try to do that. In the backend, we can handle anything, but how to use
Yes.
these methods, I'll be explaining. How to use
Okay.
methods, how to pass the values, I'll be explaining. You can use those values and you can apply your any normal ABAP code, that you can do it. But how to use that in the front-end side, bind element, how to call read method in the front end so that it can trigger backend method. So that scenario, we're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, next down.
Okay, and next is say for example in password, as you said, if can we show like in some websites we can see I symbol. So if we click on I symbol, then only the password will be show in the same input itself. Is it possible in this also?
Then what you do is use set type. Try this. I'm not sure, but use this set type. You make it like text here on password screen element. Get the reference of password field, password screen element reference. On that, use set text. So here, you want, I think you can try this. Okay, let me use, here you can see for password field, there is type, password type equal to password here. Instead of using type equal to password, you need to make, I think, type equal to text. You have to control this through controller. Type is by default password, so the characters are hidden. If you want to reveal that in the same field, instead of using separate text screen element, I want to reveal that actual value in the same input field, then you can use this type equal to text, and that you can use set type equal to text through controller. So for example, here in controller, I did not try, but let us try here itself now. You can see password field. Here, I think we can use this dot get view dot by ID of the original password field. ID of original password field is password. On original password field, we are trying to do that. And that contains one property. Type is one of the property. So you can use getter method or setter method. In this case, let me use setter method, set type as text. Save it. Let me run it. Now we are going to reveal the password in the same field. That is our expectation. Let me check now. If I type something like W here, you can see it is dynamically changing. Okay. So whatever you're typing, it is directly displaying that. So it is behaving as a normal text field. My point. So the characters are not hidden, but what you can do is, if you want to, I think you can use a change event in that case. Instead of using live change, if you want, you can try with change event. But technically what is happening, we are changing the type also dynamically.
Yes.
So in the password field itself, it is trying to show the actual value.
Yes, but it is showing in the actual value while we are typing. But actually, as I asked, I wanted to show like I symbol in the input screen itself. Like we see, example Gmail password. Like if we click on the icon symbol in the input right side corner, it will show, right? So if you click on that icon, then only it will show the password.
But password field, there is no screen element, there is no event other than these two things, I think. So here, I don't think that is valid here. You can see there is submit. There is submit. Try with this otherwise. I'm not sure, but I don't think whether that icon can be enabled or not. Icon, I think there is no such property to enable icon within that same field. What you do is, it's better create one separate button beside that. So if you want, you can create password input field. Beside that, create one button, something like that. Okay. For this button, what you do is you can use press event or press event assign event handler. That's alternative technique. In this event handler, you can use set type method.
Okay, so
So-
there is no like symbols. I mean, so nothing we can show in the input corner, right? Okay.
So here, let me use, for example, let me create one button. The impact will be same, but they're doing with the alternative approach here. Button, let me use text, something like show password. Press event, assign event handler. Example, this one. Let me use type of the button. Let me use example accept width 100 pixels, something like this. Okay, let me try what happens now. So here I'm typing something like this. Let me remove live change now. I should not use live change now. Let's remove that. So in this case, password field. So now if I type something like this, but if I click on show password, then you can see that. Then that hidden characters are disclosed to the user and it is displaying the actual characters here. Are you getting my point? So that impact you can get it here. You can see now, once again, let me run it. So user is typing something. When I click on show password, then only the original value is displayed here in the same input field. So it's almost like that type of impact. Got it?
Yeah. Okay, Vijay, and one I mean one more thing, like you in the starting of the session, you said while you're writing this dot get event and all, you said another way of process also you will going to explain at the end. What is that process?
What is that? This dot get view is same. There won't be any change for that. I'm not
No,
sure.
no,
what
you
it is.
mentioned there is another way also we can write the controller. So
That is
the
in older
starting.
applications. In old UI5 apps, we use sap.ui.getCore. In old applications, .by ID. That's not applicable now anymore. It's outdated concept now. You can provide the ID of screen element. Screen element ID you can provide here. And you can call get value method. So in older applications, we use this syntax to capture, for example, first name or whatever. SAP UI getCore.byId, provide the ID of screen element, then get value. But in new applications, in Fiori apps, always we have to use this.getView. That's a latest syntax. ID method remains same, and other screen element methods remain same. So instead of using SAP UI getCore, we are using this.getValue. SAP UI getCore, that is used in older apps. Okay. In old applications, especially in UI5, we use that syntax. But in all Fiori apps, latest apps, we have to use this.getView. Okay.
Okay. And my next query is like when in last sessions you header and item you said, right, inserting data. So at the time you mentioned slash data entity name. So is that the here while we are creating like that input to multiple line item, the slash data is a front end we can mention anything, or it will be like back end link? Because for displaying the data you are used slash emp set, right, entity.
Let me change this. Okay, so yeah, what you're talking about?
for header and multiple line items, input inserting data. Sorry. So in that you mentioned a slash data entity as the item level, right? Slash data entity set you
You
mentioned,
have to use create method and you have to provide the name of the entity set.
right?
After that,
So
you're passing data objects.
right. So you mentioned slash data, right? While you're creating 5 input records at the line
Okay,
item
that
level.
you're talking about JSON model. JSON model with a table. When you're using JSON model with a table, JSON model default contains internally by default it holds the data with data property technically. That is like aggregation property. So that you can
Okay.
use it for that you can use it as an entity set. That's a default standard one here.
Okay. So
JSON
it's
model
not
default contains a property data and that can be used as an aggregation property similar to our backend entity set. That is just to hold the data in the front end side.
okay. It's not like a link with the backend, right? Like as we
No,
when we
that has no
yeah.
link with the backend. This data
Okay.
is having no link with the backend because JSON model is operated only for front end activity.
Okay. So we can give XYZ anything name. Okay.
Yeah, you can use it.
Okay. And if we wanted to display like n number of records, more than 5.
More than 5. So what you can do is you can make it more dynamic that you can try it on your own. You can create one separate button, create plus icon to add row, something like that. In add row, what you can do, you can use something like, you can use one simple loop. Inside that loop, you can create empty row objects and push it to array. Push empty row object to an array within the loop. So that you can do it, I think you can create one plus button, that is add row button. And in that button, event handler, press event contains event handler. In that event handler, you can use a loop statement where you can create an empty row object and you can push empty row object to an array. So that means you can have this type of impact here. For example, that I'll give that sample code at the end of the theory, but this impact you can try. So if I go to fourth view, now you can see this is a sample example, sample screen which I've developed earlier. So here you can see there is add row button. By default, 5 empty rows are available, but you can increase that. You can click on add row, then it is appending the row. You can see that. You can have this impact. That is done through simple for loop, and we are adding empty row object each time inside for loop, and we are pushing empty row objects to an array. And that array is assigned to JSON model. JSON model is assigned to a table. So this impact can be done. And if I select the empty rows, for example, and if I want to delete, then I can delete it. If I want to delete all, you can select all, you can delete. If I click on add row, then you can add empty row each time. So that is possible. So this code, I'll send it in one separate project file. I'll give one separate zip file which contains all the solutions for these things. You can just cross check once again. First, try with the main example. After getting the complete output, then you can add these features, add row, delete row, and other features. Okay. So just for hint purpose, I've written here, you can create one add row button, use press event handler. In event handler, whatever code we have written in on init method for adding empty rows, the same thing you can do it, but through a simple for loop. Create empty row object and push each time empty row object to an array. So just to make you understand, let me open here. Just for knowledge purpose, how that code is implemented. Add row. Is in fourth controller, I think. In fourth controller, there is add row button. Okay, you can see this. Just we are okay here. For loop is also not used directly. We are trying to do it. So we are adding empty row object, and each time empty row object is pushed to item data array. Item data array is assigned to a JSON model which is applicable for a table. So add row is the event handler we have used. Create empty row object, same like what we have done earlier in onInit method. Use push method to append. Use push method to append empty row object to item data array or item data. Then assign item data to JSON model. So additionally, you can write these lines. I'll send that code. For all assignments, I'll send the code and some other features also in a final project zip file that you can also experience from your system. You can import that zip file and you can experience all these features. Assignment related code and all the other features like add row, delete row, and some more features. Everything I'll put it in one single final project that you can analyze from your system as well. You can run the app, you can analyze the code as well. The basic point here is we are just creating empty row object each time, pushing the empty row object to some item data array, and item data array is finally sent to JSON model of front-end table. So that's the logic we have implemented here. Yeah, one more doubt, one last doubt for today's session. This is our original project. Okay, let me run this. Any other doubt from your side?
No, thank you.
Okay, then I'll stop here. In the next session tomorrow, we'll discuss some more interesting topics like file upload, file download, something like that. File preview, file upload, file download, file preview. All three features tomorrow we'll discuss that.